How we doing today, Lawyer?
What's up, Lawyer?
What's going on, guys?
What's up, brother? Hey, thank you so much for taking the time today. I appreciate it. It's good to talk to you. All right, really good to talk to you. And we're Super Bowl week, Lawyer, and so we are talking, of course, Super Bowls and past Super Bowls, and we're highlighting, of course, Super Bowl 36 today. You know, when we went in 2001, but we're also kind of talking about a lot about Tom Brady, obviously. And if you could, Lawyer, just go back in time. That training camp in 2001, you know, Tom had moved up to the depth chart behind Drew as the number 2. I think he got a parking spot, so his I think it was his yellow Jeep Wrangler was parked right there for everyone to see. But, you know, people ask me all the time is, when did you know Tom Brady was going to be Tom Brady? And I always reference the 2-minute drill in that training camp, the 2 offense going against a defense, and him slicing us to pieces. But I guess, what were your impressions of Tom early on in that 2001 season in training camp, and did you ever think that he would be the player that he's turned out to be?
Wow, so that's a lot there to sum up, right? So unlike you, I did not see that Tommy moved up to the number 2 position in training camp. I just assumed that it was going to be Damon Heward, which we had gotten the offseason, had played well against us when he was down to Miami Dolphins. I think they actually beat us. So I thought, you know, that was one of the, key offseason acquisitions, bringing in depth at that spot behind Drew Bledsoe, obviously the face of the organization. So I did not see it like you did, or like, I guess the coaches did and the organization. Mm-hmm. I was actually surprised when Tommy went out. Bledsoe went out against the Jets, and Tommy was the one that grabbed his helmet. I actually remember looking directly at Damon Heward, which was my quarterback at the University of Washington. Okay. And I looked at him, he looked at me, and we both shrugged our shoulders, and the rest is history. But going back to Tommy, even his rookie year, he was always the guy that was willing to compete. Even though we were a lot of athletes around him was faster, stronger. He always wanted to be first in line, and it was always up there to compete against anybody. He always wanted another shot, and I think that's what gave him that mentality, gave him that opportunity to slide up into the number 2 spot.
All right, so Lawyer, obviously you played 7 seasons with the Patriots, 4 Pro Bowls, 1 Super Bowl, an incredible set of memories for Patriots Nation and fans like myself as well. But what about Ted Johnson? How did you, what are some things about?
What's up?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Ted's not going to be the first one to come out and tell us about the Ted Johnson days. Give us a little bit of something that we're not going to hear from the man, the myth himself, about your time with TJ.
Well, coming from the University of Washington, we had a really good team, great linebackers, great athletes around us, right? And obviously, when you go up to the next level, you walk in the locker room and things just look different. And as soon as I saw Ted Johnson, I was like, okay, is he a defensive lineman or linebacker? Big neck. He had that bulldog little half grin, smile. You didn't know if he was happy or ready to go kill somebody. Just was the rock of our defense. He was the clear leader on that side of the ball at the second level. And I just knew that, I had to go out there and produce to get his respect. But Ted is a gentle giant, off the field, the most caring, teammate that anybody could ask for. But on the field, he was our brick wall in the middle.
How did your personality ebb and flow over the years as a core defensive player, all-pro safety? You and Ty seemed like you like to have fun and a little bit of glitz and glamour to you guys, but Parcells to Carroll to then Belichick, how did that kind of maybe alter the way you approached the game or the team, or did it not alter it in any way?
Not really for me, because I came from a pretty hard-nosed program at the University of Washington under Don James, legendary coach Don James. and Jim Lambright. I think the way they coached us there, our success that we had really prepared me to for the next level, and also to deal with coaches like Bill Parcells, Bill Belichick, Pete Carroll, the guys you mentioned. It allowed me to, I guess, navigate, their styles and pair with mine. And I think the number one equation that matched up with all those coaches, all the styles, all the schemes was my effort, my intensity, and my want to win. Not only for my teammates, for myself, my family, but also for the cities that I was representing and the organizations. There's a lot of great coaches out there. The three you mentioned, did the best at using the individual talent on their roster and putting them in places and positions where they can win. And I think all of them did it differently, but all of them had success.
Lawyer, like you, I had a great college coach, and so I was, fortunate to have, 3 Hall of Fame NFL coaches and a great college coach. So we had excellent coaching throughout our career. But again, hey, Lawyer, thanks for those kind words you said earlier. But I want to move on to our old teammate. I want to make sure we get this question in. Mike Vrabel is now the new head coach of the New England Patriots, and for the most part, it feels like the fans and the media and then a lot of his former teammates, it feels like a home run for the Crafts and his hiring. What are your thoughts on Mike? As he takes on this job that's not going to be an easy one.
Am I the only one thinking why this didn't happen last year?
No,
you're not.
No, sir.
And that's the biggest thing. I think with Mayo, it was. I think that the Crafts obviously, love him as a player, also as an individual, smart, football guy, football mind. I just don't think he was ready. You need guys to come into, especially a proud program like that has a little experience. And then if you know him, that's the bonus. And we all know Vrabel. I think his what he brought to our team, being our jackknife, defensive lineman, linebacker, tight end. He did. Special teams. He did everything for us to allow us to be a champion. And I think that's why he has success down in Tennessee. And hopefully he brings that mentality, to New England with his second opportunity and to be an NFL head coach. I think that his coaching style, his demeanor matches more with, I think, the city of Boston. Hopefully the organization has more patience with him than they had with Mayo, because success doesn't happen overnight. And for them to release a coach after 1 year, when you look at Mayo, it's hard not to think, hey, that was just a DEI hire. We filled our quota, and now let's go. Get back to the guy that we probably should have got a year before. Not saying that that's what it was, but that's you just, after you hire somebody and you release them after 1 year, everybody can question it, right? But I think Vrabel is the right coach for right now for the Patriots. I hope hopefully that the Patriot organization is patient, allows him to get his type of players in. You have to have some stars. I think Drake May he could be the quarterback of the future. I like what I saw at the end of the year, him looking down the barrel of the gun, standing there firing off some shots. I think the defense has some players. I do want to, get some receivers around there that we can count on. I think they need to really address that in the draft. But also just, a coach nowadays have to be able to relate to the players. You have to be more of a communicator and versus the coaches that we had, Teddy, the word like, hey, you better do your job or we're going to find somebody else. Well, those days are kind of gone, and so hopefully, in Vrabel's year or two off, hopefully he understands that. Hopefully he did a little studying of how this league has evolved as far as like I said, the players' mindset, the rules, all that, and he's evolved his coaching style, and because he understands that.
Talking to former New England Patriots safety, four-time Pro Bowler, and of course Super Bowl champion Lawyer Milloy here on WEEI Afternoons. So let's go back, since we in New England now have this proud heritage. Today's the 8th anniversary of Super Bowl 51. Late January, early February, there's almost always a championship to be celebrated around here these times, Lawyer. And it all begins in Super Bowl 36. So talking about great teammates, great game plans, and being tough. When you saw what the game plan was going to be against the Rams, and when you guys went out in the field and took it to them physically, did that game back in November mean as much to you as some people think it did, or say it did? And did that give you the confidence that when you went out there and you were tougher, stronger, and faster than them that night, that you could pull off the greatest upset at that point in Super Bowl history?
Absolutely. That game in November is the reason why we were champions. It's the reason why we the Patriots had a dynasty. It was because that we went out there and we competed against the people that everybody was crowning to be the champions that year, and we prepared that week with total respect on our opponent. We came up short, but we know without one or two plays, especially right before halftime, I think there was a 7-point swing with an interception or something like that, or that game could have been different. If we would have won that game, I don't know if we would have been champions. But losing that game, and going in the locker room, it was like no other loss. It was really upbeat. It was like, okay, it was like more of a measurement of where we were, and I think to let us know that we were on the right path. We weren't thinking about championships after that game in November. We were just like, hey, we just got to keep doing what we're doing, grinding, growing together, growing with this young quarterback, and keep knocking out wins. And at the end of the year, we might have a shot. And it just, that mentality, that approach to practice and to games, kept us focused. We grew closer together. We were the team that was peaking at the end that nobody saw. And it was because of that game in November.
Lawyer, you're obviously remembered as a Pro Bowl, All-Pro safety, helped the team win a Super Bowl, but I think you're also equally remembered for one of the weirdest departures from New England that ever happened. And you were the first, what ended up being a long list. We talked to Adam Vinatieri yesterday. He left town. Tom, Seymour, Mankins, everybody. How weird was that when it happened? What were your feelings when it happened and you ended up jumping to the other sideline of Buffalo? And now that you have a decade plus looking back at it, how do you kind of feel about the way that shook down now?
I mean, it sucked.
It sucked for all of us, man.
For all of us, Lawyer. Seriously,
I was really crushed, right? And that's because I was a 27-year-old young man that really didn't understand the business behind the sport that I loved. Now looking at it, I definitely understand. I wish they would have handled it differently as far as the timing. There was many times in the off season they could have, released me, and I could have, went to another organization and had a chance to build that atmosphere before the season. But they did not give me that chance. That was the most upsetting part about that transaction. And there's, every time I hear released, not even just on the Patriots, when there's somebody getting released, even on any NFL team, it seems like my story always comes up. So that's how significant it was for, really to the game, and as far as transactions. So you can imagine what it was to me and my family. And I know at that time I probably said some things, just off the top of my mind I wish I could have, took back. But you just when somebody gives their heart and soul to to an organization, to a city, you just don't treat them like that. And there was a long time where I was bitter. I tried to strip my memory of anything Patriots for the longest time, and it's really the fans that brought me back through Twitter. Just the love that they continue to show and all that, and that forced me to start showing back up in Foxborough for events and being around my teammates, because ultimately that's what I was fighting for. I was fighting for the fans. I was fighting for my teammates, and we did something that nobody can ever take away from us. But the business side of it sucks sometimes.
Hey, I can speak.
I didn't. Yeah, go ahead.
Lawyer, it's well put, and I will tell you from the other side of the story. I've never seen a locker room more devastated than when
they hated their coach.
It's Tom Jackson very famously said that. But it was, and then and then there's you can quantify how that impacted us by us going out in that first game against Lawyer and the Buffalo Bills. Yeah. And it was like we didn't even show up, man. It was just such a hard thing. But Lawyer, you've been awesome.
Hey, Ted. Let me say, even though that first game happened the way it was, even though what happened to me, sucked. I knew the type of team that I left. You know what I mean? I knew the potential, and the results showed at the end. The end of the season, we beat you guys 31-0. And then we come to Foxborough, the last game of the season, two teams going in different directions. And the score was what? Do you remember, Ted?
I think it was the same exact score as the game one.
31-0. On the sideline that we can't kick a freaking field goal. But no, it was just a testament in my love for, what I helped build there. It hurt so bad because I knew, with a good quarterback, obviously a good defense, and players around that had worked all off season to get back to the promised land. It sucked because I knew what I had left, and I knew you guys would turn around and be champions that year.
But I bet it was fun to sack Brady.
That game is it was like I was in the twilight zone. There was many times on that sideline because I got there on Thursday and had one day of practice on the Saturday walkthrough, and then we played on Sunday. So I was actually just playing as a football player. There's man defense, blitz, cover two. There's only so many. So I was like, okay, just tell me, is this zone or man?
Keep it
is
simple.
This blitz or where do I go? And so I was playing like that. So, I made some plays. I think I made a difference, that day for the Buffalo Bills. But for me, there was several times where I almost jumped off the bench because I thought I was on the wrong sideline.
Wow.
So.
Lawyer, I appreciate you joining us this afternoon. Appreciate the stories and appreciate the honesty. Yeah. I know your departure wasn't the easiest thing, so appreciate you looking back on that. Hope you're doing well.